Hey there fellow proxies, welcome back to the channel where today we're diving deep into the wild, chaotic world of Zenless Zone Zero. If you've been keeping up with the game, you know it's packed with a ton of unique characters, each bringing their own flair and skills to the table. Whether you're gearing up for your next big mission in New Eridu or just vibing with your favorite agents, knowing who to take along can make or break your commission. But hey, don't stress too much about those gacha tier lists floating around, they're just a rough guide. Honestly, they don't always tell the full story of who you might enjoy playing. Now, I get it. The later stages of the game can get pretty tough and maybe you're thinking, oh no, my favorite character isn't exactly S tier. But here's the cool part. Zenless Zone Zero actually lets you tweak the difficulty. So if you're stuck and your squad isn't quite cutting it, just dial things down a notch. That way you can still play with the characters you love even if they aren't technically meta. So stick around, and let's talk about some of these awesome agents and how they can make your adventures in New Eridu a blast no matter what the rankings say. I'm quickly moving on to the video and I'm ranking characters in Zenless Zone Zero. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
My friends, only 0.1% of viewers subscribe. If you like this type of content, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you in advance for your support.
The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Ambi, Corin, Anton, and Billy. Alright folks, let's dive into the world of Zenless Zone Zero and chat about some C tier characters who, honestly, don't get the credit they deserve. Now, don't get me wrong, these agents might not be your first choice for conquering the hardest endgame content, but they're still a ton of fun to play with, and they've got a few tricks up their sleeves. So let's get to know our underdogs a bit better. First up, we have Anbi, the stoic member of the Cunning Hares. Anbi's got this cool, calm demeanor that says, I'm here to win, but she's also got a knack for stunning enemies left and right. While she's not exactly the queen of the stun game, there are definitely others who do it better. She's free. That means you can get your hands on her early, and once you start upgrading her mindscapes, she turns into a stun machine that can keep enemies dazed for days. Pair her up with someone who can deal with the heavy lifting, and you've got yourself a nice little combo to work with. Next on the list is Corin. Now, Corin isn't just another freebie thrown your way, she's a solid starter who brings her own brand of pain to the battlefield with a chainsaw. Yup, you heard that right. A chainsaw. She can lock down enemies and even mitigate some incoming damage by holding down her attack. And if you're pairing her with Ambi, you've got double the day's potential. It's a match made in, well, the slightly above average heavens. Great for beginners until you find those shiny new replacements down the line. And let's not forget Anton, our dude with a kit that looks amazing on paper, but can feel a bit clunky in action. Anton's all about that burst damage. When he's paired with agents who can shock enemies, he can dish out massive damage in a blink. The problem? He's like that one friend who needs an energy drink before they're ready to go. He takes a bit of time to warm up. If you've got the patience though, he can turn into a powerhouse once he gets rolling. Finally, there's Billy. Oh Billy, this cowboy's got charm, personality, and pistols for days. He's a real sweetheart. Literally the best boy, but he struggles to keep up with the other damage dealers. While he's got great range and a killer chain attack, his gameplay can feel a bit, well, straightforward. But hey, if you like a little bit of that old-fashioned, rootin' style of play, then Billy's your guy. He might not be the flashiest, but he's always there for you when you need him. So, there you have it. Our C-tier characters who still have plenty of heart and plenty to offer if you're willing to make the most of them. Whether it's stunning your enemies with Anbi, going full chainsaw mode with Corin, patiently setting up for big plays with Anton, or just enjoying the ride with Billy, these characters can still bring some serious fun to your Zenless Zone Zero adventures. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Piper, Ben, and Lucy. Alright, let's dive into some of the B tier characters in Zenless Zone Zero. These guys might not be the absolute top of the leaderboard, but they're definitely not here to mess around. They've got their own unique quirks and strengths that can turn the tide in those intense moments. So, let's talk about Piper, Ben, and Lucy and why they might be the perfect fit for your next team composition. First up, we have Piper. Now, Piper's all about versatility. As the second anomaly character in the game, she's a bit of a wild card, and that's exactly what makes her exciting. Her tire spin attack is a game changer. It slices through waves of enemies like butter and gives your team a sweet attack power boost. She's perfect as a flex option if you're not quite sure what role to fill, but want someone who can support the team while also dishing out some serious damage. Then there's Ben, who's like the ultimate shield for your squad. If you enjoy a more strategic defensive approach, Ben is your guy. He's got this insane blocking stance that can repel and counter almost any attack. And he's not shy about sharing the love with some nice, hefty shields for his teammates. The downside, he needs to be on the field for quite a bit to get the best out of his abilities, and there are definitely other supports who can offer quicker solutions. But hey, if you got the patience, Ben's your rock. And last but definitely not least, let's talk about Lucy. She's the Dota queen of New Eridu, and if you're all about that damage over time playstyle, Lucy's got your back. Her combo moves launch these cute little boar minions that latch onto enemies and keep on attacking, even when she's off the field. She's especially great if you're running a mono fire team, but just a heads up, there isn't a ton of synergy for her playstyle in New Eridu just yet. But hey, when it comes to Lucy, you're playing the long game and it's going to pay off. So, that's a wrap on our B tier champions for today. They've got their niche, they've got their style, and if you're smart about it, they'll pack a punch when it matters most. Don't sleep on these characters, they just might surprise you. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Sukaku, Khalida, Grace, Soldier 11, Nekomata, and Nicole. Alright, let's dive into some of the A tier characters in Zenless Zone Zero that are perfect for rounding out your team. Even if you haven't been lucky enough to pull those coveted S tier characters, these agents will help you keep up with the best of them, especially with the right strategy. First up, we have Sukaku, a blue horn support who is a bit of a hidden gem. She might seem niche at first, but trust me, she's a game changer in the right setup. Sukaku shines by buffing her own attack and then passing that buff to her teammates when she switches out. She's particularly amazing in mono attribute teams where her ice damage boost can really make a difference, but even outside of that, she can slot into almost any composition and still deliver. Then, there's Khalida, who might technically be classified as a stun character, but don't let that fool you, she packs a serious punch. Her damage output is on par with some of the top DPS agents, and her playstyle is incredibly forgiving. With her hammer, she gives you plenty of invulnerability frames while dishing out damage. And if you team her up with Ben Bigger, you get a unique animation for her enhanced basic attack that can even rival S tier damage. Pretty sweet, right? Moving on to Grace, who might seem a little vanilla at first glance, but she's all about consistency. Her gameplay revolves around stacking zap charges and then unleashing them for massive bursts of damage. She's not the most dynamic character out there, but if you're looking for a solid, reliable pick to help you conquer some of the game's toughest bosses, Grace has got your back with her dual type damage. Soldier 11 is another standout, especially if you love playing with fire, literally. She's one of the best fire damage dealers in the game, right alongside Khalida. Soldier 11 thrives in mono attribute teams, where she can ramp up her fire damage to scorching levels. And if you play your cards right, her fire suppression attack can actually double the damage of her regular attacks, turning her into an absolute beast on the battlefield. Let's not forget Nekomata, the speedy attacker you'll meet early on in the story. Her kit is all about perfect dodges, so you'll need to be quick on your feet to maximize her damage output. She might require a bit of finesse, but if you pull her from the standard banner, she'll be a fantastic addition to your squad, especially with her Cunning Hares synergy. Finally, we have Nicole, the leader of the Cunning Hares and one of the best free characters you'll get in the game. She's a master of crowd control, pulling enemies together so your heavy hitters can lay down some devastating AoE damage. You'll unlock her early, giving you plenty of time to master her moves and see just how valuable she is in your lineup. So, there you have it. 6 A-tier characters who bring their own unique strengths to the table. Don't be afraid to experiment with different team compositions and find the right balance that works for you. These agents might not be S tier, but with a bit of strategy and the right team comp, they can definitely hold their own against the best of the best. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Chingy, Juwen, Ellen, Lycaon, and Rena. Alright, let's dive into the Zenless Zone Zero S tier characters, the creme de la creme of the game. These are the characters that every ZZZ player dreams of pulling, and for good reason. They bring the heat, the control, and the flexibility you need to dominate the battlefield. First up, we have Chingy, the small but mighty NEPS officer, who's a real shocker, literally. Chingy is hands down the best stun unit in the game. Her basic attack builds Electric Anomaly faster than any other agent out there, making her a must-have for any electric-based team. And trust me, if you're thinking of going electric, you need to pull for Chingy. She's a little spark plug that can turn your opponent's plans into ashes before they even know what hit them. Now, if you're looking for some serious DPS power, Ju Yen has got you covered. She might not be the only S-rank DPS agent, but she's a fantastic choice if you missed out on Ellen early on. Ju Yuan is all about that ether, and while ether-based teams aren't exactly overflowing with options, Ju Yuan is so strong that she makes up for it all by herself. Whether she's firing off attacks from a distance or getting up close and personal, Ju Yuan is versatile, powerful, and ridiculously easy to play. A total win-win. Speaking of Ellen, let's talk about this shark-tailed maid who made waves as the first limited time banner. Ellen is an absolute beast, especially when you factor in her flash freeze mechanic, which cranks up her crit DMG to absurd levels. She's already fantastic on her own, but when paired with other ice damage agents like the Sly and Icy Lycan, she reaches a whole new level of destruction. If you're lucky enough to have Ellen, you already know she's worth her weight in ice. And that brings us to Lycan, the Day's King. This wolf butler from the Victoria Housekeeping Company is the best when it comes to keeping enemies locked down with his incredible stun uptime. When you pair Lycaon with Ellen and another ice-type support, you've got a squad that can shred through pretty much anything the game throws at you. If controlling the battlefield and watching your foes flail helplessly is your jam, Lycaon is your guy. Finally, let's not forget Rena, the ultimate support for any electric attribute team. She might be a maid, but she's no servant on the battlefield. With her two puppets, Drusilla and Anastella, Rena can strike enemies from afar while reducing their pen ratio, making it easier for your DPS agents to swoop in and clean up. Characters like Anton and Ambi might not seem top tier at first, but with Rena backing them up, they can rise to the occasion and take on the toughest challenges. So there you have it, the S-tier dream team of Zenless Zone Zero. Whether you're building an electric anomaly squad with Chingy or freezing your enemies into submission with Ellen and Lycaon, these characters are all about versatility and raw power. So go ahead, aim for the best and watch your enemies crumble. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.